Have you ever dreamed of being able to travel through time and witness historical events firsthand? According to Father Pellegrino Ernetti, this dream may have already been realized in the form of a device called the Chronovisor. This mysterious machine, said to have been developed in a secret by a group of scientists in the 1950s, supposedly allows users to see and hear events from the past and future, including the ability to witness the crucifixion of Christ and the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Is it possible that it has been kept hidden by the Vatican, used as a tool to maintain their power and influence? Decide for yourself as we delve into the mysterious story of the Chronovisor in the new episode of Secret Origins. Welcome. Our humanity has gone through tremendous challenges. It has created amazing inventions and technologies, but some of them have remained hidden for one reason or another. We know about the amazing Tesla and free energy, Leonardo Da Vinci and his brilliant mind, Albert Einstein and so on, but because of the dominance of the church at the time, many things remained hidden from the masses and carefully controlled by a select few. Today we talk about one of these forgotten inventions, about what is known, what has remained hidden, and everyone will be able to judge for themselves and choose what to believe. What would you do if you had a device through which you could see the past and the future, to take a peek at all those legendary battles, campaigns, and events that shaped us as a civilization? Well, the story told by the Italian priest Father Pellegrino Ernetti in the 1960s is about such a device. It cannot be physically traveled with it, but it can be used to look forward into the future or back into the past and see every single episode of the history of human civilization. Although the idea was first presented in H.G. Wells' book The Time Machine in 1895, the details about it were not published by a fiction writer, but by a monk. Father Pellegrino Ernetti was a Benedict priest, scholar, and international authority in the field of music. Ernetti taught archaic music at the University of Venice, where one of the problems he dealt was the rhythmicity of the music. His work on the device begins in 1952, when he worked in the electroacoustic laboratory of Father Gemelli at the Catholic University of Milan. Studying archaic music, Father Ernetti discovered a new principle in physics that is related to musical frequencies, harmonic resonance, and their connection to the astral plane. During the same year, he gathered a dozen of scientists and specialists from all over the world in a complete secrecy. A new kind of apparatus was developed. Among the names of the scientists mentioned by Ernetti are the German and later American rocket engineer Wernher von Braun, as well as the genius physicist Enrico Fermi, who received the Nobel Prize in 1938 for proving the existence of new radioactive details. In 1972, he explained in an interview with a Roman journalist from the newspaper Domenica del Corriere about the invention of the Chronovisor, a device that allows not only to hear the sounds and music of the past, but also to see pictures and images of these events, including seeing and hearing the conversations of people from the distant past. He managed to hear his dream opera, and even more interestingly, one day he saw on his device that a robbery was planned, managed to alert the police, and guess what? They caught the thieves. We can easily ask ourselves then why the military and the politicians do not use it, and if so, what will be the consequences? It is obvious that after coming out to the public, he was ready to accept the consequences of his decision. Some believe it to be a critical tool that has kept the Vatican's influence and power intact over the years. The shocking moment comes when Father Ernetti shared that he not only observed events, but was able to see the crucifixion of Christ and also photographed it for evidence. The photo on the left, they say, was taken using the Chronovisor, and the one on the right is a very similar image found in a church in Perugia. He also tells that he saw the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah and other great historical events such as the founding of Rome. He saw Napoleon, Moses, and other important figures. The story begins in the early 1960s when Father Francois Brun was on a walk in Venice and accidentally met Father Ernetti, a physicist and Benedictine priest. Ernetti describes in great detail to Brun how everything works, even shows him a diagram of how the machine looks and functions. According to him, it works by picking up the electromagnetic radiation left over from past events, then decoding it to create an image of the event with accompanying sound. For now, we can still tell ourselves that this is a complete fabrication, but the next proof will show that things are not so absurd. Pierre Monnier, a young French officer who died in 1915, often communicated with his mother through intuitive writing. His mother wished to pay tribute to the places where Monnier had died, along with a friend of her son. She had the strange feeling that she saw and heard something from that battle. Pierre explained to her that this was not an illusion, but a natural phenomenon that is too universal, although few people notice it. There is always an imperceptible image from past scenes, what you call psychometry. That is, if you knew how to see it, a kind of impression of our dwelling remains visible to the eye of the spirit. It is a question of a kind of telepathy, which I call material, between waves and waves, which also releases like a spring and somewhat stabilized image. It passes to movement, stimulated by waves similar to those that inundated it when it was created. As a proof of the work of the Chronovisor, Father Ernetti presents a photograph of Christ proving his existence as a historical figure. However, instead of coming as a joyful surprise to the Vatican as he expected, this invention came as a real shock to the Pope and the cardinals. And it is this seemingly illogical reaction of the Vatican that shows that there is such a device and it works perfectly. But still, what made the Vatican so worried? It is the fact that humanity's use of such a device would endanger the entire falsified human history over thousands of years, and it would teach the truth that the history that's written in school textbooks and scientific literature actually has very little to do with what actually happened in those historical events. Of course, the Vatican, which is believed to be the main culprit in the falsification of history, cannot allow such a thing and therefore orders the device to be dismantled with the excuse that it could have been used by the mafia or leaders like Hitler and Stalin about the destruction of human civilization. As for the chronograph, it was first mentioned by the American scientist Bayard Spalding, who told about it to his friend the Austrian Peter Krass. According to Spalding, he personally attended the experiments with the Chronovisor and even became one of the few modern people who heard Christ's famous sermon on the Mount Olive. And of course, the opportunity to verify the correspondence of Christ's words with the text given in the Gospels could not help but cause serious concern among the Vatican cardinals, which is why their decision on the fate of the chronograph is unanimous. It's not all accidental that Ernetti's friend, the French priest Francois Brun, who wrote the book Chronoprojection Apparatus, The New Secret of the Vatican, noted that the inventor himself did not object the decision of the Vatican, since the chronograph could become a dangerous weapon for us and for the official historical science. Of course, this is believed to be one of the many artifacts that the Vatican holds in its top secret archives that preserve our history. But the issue here is a bit different. Can all this really destroy our civilization, or it will destroy only the probable lie and the deception of power built up for centuries? However, there are of course other versions that suggest that Father Ernetti and his team decided to voluntarily dismantle the device because, since it could be set up anywhere and any time in the past, if it fell into the wrong hands, it could have created the most terrible dictatorship the world has ever seen. Interestingly, before Father Ernetti died in April 1994, he wrote insisting that the device was real and not a hoax, as many believed. He says that the picture of Jesus Christ on the cross that the Chronovisor captured, showing the tortured face of a bearded man staring up at the sky, is genuine, although some critics claim that the image is a reproduction of a statue of Jesus found in a church in Perugia. Critics also claim that the supposed text of Theestes that the machine was able to observe included Latin words that did not exist at the time it was made. In 1994, Father Ernetti also said that Pope Pius XII forbade us to reveal any details about this device because the machine was very dangerous. It can limit a person's freedom. However, in 1988, the Vatican issued a decree warning that anyone who uses an instrument with such characteristics will be excommunicated from the Church. Many believe that this was an unnecessary warning since, according to the Church, the Chronovisor never existed. So why issue a warning if this was just another big lie? What do you think? As we can see, the Chronovisor is a highly controversial and enigmatic invention. While some believe it to be a powerful tool that could change the course of history, others see it as a dangerous weapon that could potentially be used for nefarious purposes. Regardless of where you stand, it is clear that the Chronovisor remains a fascinating mystery that has captured the imagination of people all around the world. Whether it truly exists or not remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: the story of the Chronovisor is one that will continue to be told and debated for years to come. We bow before you and thank you for watching another episode of Secret Origins. Keep your minds open, and until we meet again.